Today we are covering 8 real snake attacks, every single one of them documented on camera. These are not reconstructions. These are real people, real bites, and in most cases real footage that you can find online right now. Some of them survived, one of them did not. As always, viewer discretion is advised. Tyler Nolan was a private reptile keeper in South Florida with years of experience handling venomous animals. He ran his own collection, was respected in the keeper community, and had worked with some of the most dangerous snake species in the world without a serious incident. He also had a 10-foot king cobra. The king cobra is the longest venomous snake on Earth. Its venom is primarily neurotoxic, attacking the nervous system and working toward the respiratory muscles. What separates it from most other cobras is not the potency of the venom, but the volume it can deliver in a single bite. Enough, according to repeated scientific documentation, to kill an elephant. A full bite from a large specimen without immediate antivenom is considered almost certainly fatal. The bite was caught on camera. The footage exists, has been widely circulated in the reptile keeper community, and Tyler has spoken extensively about what happened. The cobra bit him and the bite was significant. By the time treatment was underway, the venom had already progressed far enough that saving his life required major medical intervention. Tyler survived. He became an amputee as a result of the bite and its aftermath. He has since continued working in the reptile community, giving talks and sharing his experience, and his account is one of the most detailed first-hand records of what a full king cobra envenomation does to the human body in real time. The footage of the bite itself and the survival interview are both publicly available. Tyler's account is specific, honest, and worth watching before you script this segment, because the details he shares about how fast it moved and how little warning there was are the most important things in the story. 6 years of handling one of the most dangerous snakes in the world, and the margin between surviving and not was a matter of minutes. David Humflett, 25, goes by the handle @Adventurin on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, where he documents his work finding and filming wildlife across the United States. He was on Shired Island in Dixie County on December 18, 2024, doing exactly what he always does, working through vegetation looking for snakes, filming as he went, when he startled an eastern diamondback rattlesnake that he had not seen while peeling bark around a tree. The eastern diamondback is the largest venomous snake in North America. Its hemotoxic venom destroys red blood cells, disrupts clotting, and causes progressive tissue death that can require surgeries and skin grafts, even in survivors who receive prompt treatment. A large specimen delivering a full envenomation is capable of causing systemic damage within hours. The footage David captured in the seconds immediately after the bite is the most Gen Z snake bite documentation ever recorded. He looked at the camera and said plainly, "Welp, I'm cooked." Then, "All right, that right there is a fantastic eastern diamondback rattlesnake that I just got bit in the leg by when I was peeling bark." He showed the bite. He stayed calm. He described what had happened with the composure of someone running purely on adrenaline and professional habit, which is exactly what was happening. He found a fire station, told emergency services what had bitten him and where, and was airlifted to UF Health Shands Hospital, where his wife, who works there as a nurse, was waiting. He spent nearly 2 weeks in the ICU. He did not lose the leg. He recovered and has since been clear that he does not blame the animal. "The snake is just doing what it does," he said. "It perceived me as a threat, and it was just trying to protect itself." The video he uploaded after the bite shows the whole sequence. It is one of the most watched snakebite videos from the past few years, and the part where he points the camera at the rattlesnake and calmly introduces it to his audience while bleeding from the leg is going to stay with you for a while. Vava Suresh is, or was, at the time of this incident, probably the most bitten snake catcher alive. In a career spanning over 2 decades, he had caught and relocated more than 50,000 snakes across Kerala, including over 200 king cobras. He had been bitten by venomous species roughly 300 times. He had lost the movement in his right wrist to a bite. He had lost a finger to a bite. He had been on a ventilator and in the ICU more times than most people have been in a hospital at all. On the evening of January 31st, 2022, he was called to Kottayam to rescue a cobra that had been found at a residential property. He showed up. He caught the snake. He was in the process of putting it into a gunny bag when the cobra bit him above the knee on his right thigh. A local villager caught the moment on a cell phone. In the footage, you can hear the crowd scrambling and screaming as the snake lunges toward him. Vava Suresh, having been bitten, did not drop the cobra and leave. He caught it again after it slithered away, put it in the bag, and then asked someone to take him to the hospital. He went into cardiac arrest on the way. He was placed on a ventilator at Kottayam Medical College Hospital and spent several days in critical condition. He survived. Doctors had previously warned him that anti-venom might have limited effect on him after so many bites, because his immune system had developed an unusual relationship with snake venom, and this remained a concern throughout his treatment. The cell phone footage of the bite exists. It has been broadcast across Indian news channels and is findable on YouTube with searches for his name. For a man who had survived this many times before, what stands out in the footage is not the bite, but what he does immediately after it. He does not look scared. He looks annoyed. Pung Fan was preparing a special dish at a restaurant in Foshan. The dish required Indo-Chinese spitting cobra, a rare delicacy in that region. He killed the cobra by decapitating it, set the head aside, and began preparing the meat. Approximately 20 minutes later, he went to pick up the severed head to dispose of it. The severed head bit him. The Indo-Chinese spitting cobra is capable of spitting venom at targets up to 8 feet away, but it can also inject venom through a bite with its fangs, which is what happened here. Cobra venom is neurotoxic. It does not require a living snake to be delivered. The muscular and neurological reflexes in a recently decapitated reptile can remain active for up to an hour after death, because cold-blooded animals have significantly lower metabolic rates than mammals, meaning cellular function continues well past what most people would expect. Pung Fan received a full venom injection from a snake head that had been separated from its body for 20 minutes. He died before antivenom could be administered. A restaurant guest celebrating his wife's birthday heard the commotion and screaming from the kitchen. By the time emergency services arrived, it was already over. The kitchen security camera footage exists. It has not been publicly released, but it formed part of the incident documentation. What is confirmed and well reported is the sequence: decapitation, 20-minute gap, the pickup, the bite, the death. What makes this case unlike everything else on this list is the specific thing that killed him. Not a live snake. Not a snake he was handling. Not a snake he encountered unexpectedly. A head. A severed head on a preparation board in a kitchen. It bit him 20 minutes after he killed it, and it killed him back. Stephen Johnson goes by Double O on YouTube, where he runs a wildlife and outdoors channel called Obsession Outdoors. On a June afternoon in 2021, he walked into Marshy Point Nature Center in Baltimore County with his camera rolling, looking for snakes to film. He started his video the way he always started his videos, with a brief intro telling the camera what he was going for that day. He mentioned that copperheads were on his list. He found one, but not the way he intended. Walking the trail, he stepped on a copperhead that he had not seen. The bite came instantly. "Oh, no, 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 not good, not good," he said to the camera.
"Oh, no, 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 no. Not good. Not good."
Looking down at his calf, where 2 small dots of blood had appeared. He turned the camera on the bite, described what had happened, and immediately called to a hiker on the trail for help. "Could you go get a ranger? I just got bit by a copperhead," he said.
"Excuse me. Could you go get a ranger? I just got bit by a copperhead."
The eastern copperhead is responsible for more venomous snakebite hospitalizations in the United States than any other species. Though its bites are rarely fatal in healthy adults when treated promptly, what Stephen experienced was confirmed by doctors to be a dry bite, meaning the snake had not injected significant venom. The initial strike felt like thorn bushes going into his leg, he described, and the pain did not escalate the way it would have with a full envenomation. He was taken to hospital, received anti-venom as a precaution, and was released. The fact that this was a dry bite makes the footage no less instructive, and actually more interesting in one specific way. He handled the immediate aftermath exactly right. He did not panic, he identified the snake, he asked for help, he stayed still, he documented everything. The park manager told CBS Baltimore it was the first snake bite in Baltimore County parks in roughly 20 years, and none of the staff had previously encountered a copperhead on those trails. Steven stepped on a snake nobody expected to be there, and his camera was rolling for all of it. At 2:30 in the morning on September 6, 2024, Florence County emergency dispatchers received a call from a man named Jeff Leibowitz saying he had been bitten by a snake and needed help. When emergency services arrived and transported him to McLeod Hospital, and when it became clear what had bitten him, the situation became significantly more serious than the initial call had suggested. Jeff Leibowitz, 44, was a teacher at South Florence High School. He was also keeping a private collection of venomous snakes at his residence without the required permits, and among those snakes was an inland taipan. The inland taipan is the most venomous snake on Earth, not in terms of how aggressively it bites, but in terms of what its venom does per milligram. It is estimated to be 50 times more venomous than a king cobra and 100 times more venomous than an eastern diamondback rattlesnake. A single bite from an inland taipan can deliver enough venom to kill over 100 adult humans. It is found naturally in the remote interior of Australia, which is one reason most people have never heard of it, and its temperament is typically described as non-aggressive. What it is not is safe in the hands of an unlicensed keeper at 2:30 a.m. in a residential neighborhood in South Carolina. Leibowitz was known in online reptile keeping communities and had reportedly spoken publicly about never having been bitten. Hospital staff, faced with an inland taipan bite, began contacting anti-venom resources because the drug needed to treat. It was not stocked at McLeod. He spent time in the ICU. He survived. Police conducted a search of his residence, discovered the collection, and the investigation that followed resulted in the seizure of multiple animals. The footage that exists is from inside his hospital room, the ICU coverage, and the interview material that followed his discharge. The bite itself at 2:30 a.m. at home was not filmed, but his YouTube presence in the reptile community and the online discussion of the incident that followed his hospitalization means there is substantial material documenting both his collection and the aftermath of the bite. The world's most venomous snake in a house in Florence, South Carolina, without a permit. Prakash Mandal, 48, from Bhagalpur in Bihar, was bitten by a Russell's viper. He then did something that no medical professional, snake expert, or reasonable person would advise anyone to do. He grabbed the snake by the head so it could not bite anyone else, held it there, and walked into the hospital. The Russell's viper is one of the 4 species responsible for the overwhelming majority of snakebite deaths across South Asia. It carries a hemotoxic venom that destroys red blood cells, disrupts blood clotting, attacks the kidneys, and causes systemic hemorrhage throughout the body. In rural India, where hospital access and anti-venom availability vary significantly across districts, a Russell's viper bite without prompt treatment is frequently fatal. Prakash Mandal walked into a Bihar hospital with his arm extended, the viper's head gripped tightly in his bare hand, its body moving against his forearm, and told the doctors he needed emergency treatment. The footage from the hospital's security camera shows him being escorted through the hospital, still holding the snake, surrounded by staff and other patients who moved as far from him as the corridor allowed. It is one of the most remarkable pieces of wildlife encounter footage ever captured on a hospital security system. The reason he brought the snake, he explained, was to show the doctors exactly what had bitten him so they could provide the correct anti-venom without delay. In a medical system where misidentification of biting species is a documented contributor to preventable snakebite deaths, this logic is not entirely wrong. The execution of it is another matter. He received treatment. His condition, as of the most recent reports, remained under observation. The hospital staff who treated him have declined most interview requests, but confirmed the incident and the footage, which circulated widely across Indian news channels and social media within days of the incident. The last documented death from snakebite in that district had been 4 years prior. Nobody expected the next significant case to involve a patient who brought the evidence in his hand. A man walked out of his home at night at a housing complex near Miami and stepped directly into a water moccasin that had positioned itself outside his door. The doorbell camera caught the exact moment the snake struck, and the footage shows him jumping back after the bite. He drove himself to a local hospital, and Miami-Dade Fire Rescue's Venom 1 unit, which maintains the only public anti-venom bank in the United States, was called in to deliver anti-venom to the hospital. He made a full recovery with no lasting disabilities. What makes this one stand out for the format is the doorbell angle. He was not looking for snakes, not handling them, not doing anything remotely risky. He was walking out of his own front door at night, which is about as routine as it gets.